Hey guys, do you guys want to talk about board games? That's fine, because I do. So, board games for about 2 to 4 year olds. That's what I wanted to talk about today. About 5 or 6 months ago, I went out and I kind of raided Toys R Us for all different kinds of board games because at our house we have crazy amounts of toys. Like crazy, ridiculous amount of toys that like everybody who comes to our house, they're like, you guys have way too many toys. And so what I decided to do was instead of constantly buying more toys that go into like the, you know, crazy wild play area toys, I decided to start getting together some activities and some board games and things like that, which would actually be like quiet time play where like you sit at the table, all the pieces stay together, and it's like a lot more organized and structured play. So I went out and bought a bunch of board games. I want to tell you about them and kind of tell you what has worked and what hasn't worked for us. I'll start with the favorite, the Sneaky Snacky Squirrel game. This has been James's favorite since I got all the games. Basically, you're just this squirrel and you spin and you decide what color acorn you're gonna pick up. So there's the squirrel, pass them around for like all the different turns, and then you collect these acorns and you put them in your little holder, and once you have all 5, then you win. It's a really awesome, really simple game. There is a little bit of strategy involved because you can get the sneaky squirrel, which means that you actually get to steal acorns from another player. That's really hard in the beginning to teach your kids that yes, you are in fact going to steal acorns from them, but come on, I'm playing the game fair. This has been one of the favorites and I would recommend it to absolutely anyone. Another game kind of by the same company that we've really liked, Shelby's Snack Shack, and it is kind of similar in that there is a spinner, but instead you are a dog and you are collecting bones and you put them in your little doggy dish. The difference is that this time you spin, and what you have to do is you have to figure out how many bones you're gonna get, and then this spinner says that you can either steal bones from someone else or a seagull can come and take away your bones and stuff like that. So it's a little more complicated, there's a little more strategy involved. It does say 4+ on the box, but if you have a child who's really into games and who's really good at counting, totally okay to go under 4. James has been playing it since I'd say like just over 2.5. Those are kind of our 2 favorite games and the games that we have out all the time. Of course, Shelby's game, it's way too complicated for Joe, and so we actually only take it out while Joe is sleeping. The only other game that we have on the shelf right now is the Bubble Guppies memory game. I don't have the back of it, it's missing. James has never been a big fan of the memory game, and I thought he was gonna really like it because when I bought it, he was really into Bubble Guppies, and it's all different like Bubble Guppies cards. So he really liked the cards, and he really wanted to like touch them and tell stories with them and point out who all the characters were, but he never liked the memory game. Something about only being allowed to flip over 2 cards and constantly in the beginning basically like failing over and over again, he just wasn't into. I personally am a big stickler about game pieces staying together. Like I know 100% that if there are 40 bones that comes with this Shelby's game, there are 40 bones in the game now. Alex doesn't like how strict I am about that, and so this game probably went to the kids on a day when I wasn't home, and of course they lost most of the pieces. I found some in the toilet, some in the rat cage, some in the recycling, and the back is totally destroyed. So, you know, not that big of a loss because we never enjoyed this game to begin with, but come on, Daddy. Now, I actually have to put up some pictures to tell you about the other games. One of the first games that I bought that I tried with James was Perfection. If you guys know that game, it's like a little game board and you have to like match up all the little pieces, and if the timer goes off before you get all the pieces in, then it pops and then all the pieces fly everywhere. That game was really fun to play one time, and then when it popped, James cried and that was the end. He would never go near it again. And so I think I tried him on it the next day and he was so terrified of it that I was like, I'm taking this back to the store. I'm not gonna keep a game that like drives my child crazy. Candyland. Candyland was another one that we got that James just could not grasp the concept of. You have like a board that's kind of like wibbly like a snake, and then all the little tiles are different colors. You spin a spinner and you have to go to the next tile that is the same color as, you know, the color that was represented on the spinner. James couldn't grasp that concept. I even tried it with him like a month and a half ago and he still just, he did not understand the next color on the thing. Like he thought he could go to anything on the board. And so it was just a really frustrating game. I ended up giving it away because he, you know, he saw it on the shelf, he really wanted to play it, but every single time I took that game out, it would end with him getting really bored of it and then getting really upset because he really wanted to play it and he knew that he couldn't, and then, you know, kind of refusing to play any other board games. So I did end up giving that game away. It was just too much. If you haven't started board games with your child and you do notice that there's a game that they're just not into, put it away. Don't even let them see it, and then pull it out a month later, put it away, pull it out 2 months later, and then if it really doesn't work, just give it away, because honestly, you can have so much fun with board games with your kids, and if they're not into a game, it wrecks everything. Those are the games that I bought a little while ago. Until recently, we would only play games if Joe was napping or if Daddy was out with Joe. And so it's usually just James and I I playing without Joe. Recently, Joe did start wanting to play board games with us, and so I did get him started on the Snacky Squirrel game. The only thing is, he doesn't quite grasp the concept of games yet. He doesn't like having to give up the squirrel when it's not his turn. I tell him that he has to collect the color that's on the spinner. He doesn't quite get it. He's awake. Anyways, I have no idea where I was, but what I was trying to say is that for Christmas this year, I'm going to try and stay away from, you know, like open-ended, kind of crazy play toys, because we do have a lot of those, and I'm going to try and stick to activities and board games. And so Joe's been having a lot of trouble right now because he hasn't really learned, you know, the idea of waiting your turn and passing the torch and sharing and stuff like that. And so I think that it's really important at this point to kind of get board games that are mind-numbing and useless to teach him those things before I use educational board games with him. So I wanted to go through some board games with you guys and kind of ask you guys what you think of them, because I am going to be buying some of these for the kids for Christmas. Some of them are really stupid, like for instance Pop-Up Pirate, where you just stick swords into a barrel until a pirate pops up, and then that's the end of the game. So there's really not much to learn, which I don't know, like I really like learning on our organized time, but Alex says that I need to cut down on the amount of learning that we do. So yeah, there's Pop-Up Pirate and Honey Bee Tree, which are both really similar. It's just that they both work the opposite way. So in one you're putting stuff in and the other one you're taking stuff out. But both of those would be kind of an example of teaching Joe how to play a board game and share with people and pass things on, and kind of just how to do activities in like a constructive way. And then yeah, I have a bunch of board games written down here, and if you guys have any opinion on them, I would love to hear it. And so I'll just go through them. There are the 4 first games by Ravensburger. I have no idea what they are. I tried looking them up and I could only get info on 2 of the games. ABC Cookies, not really Joe's thing, more of a James's thing. We are doing phonics and he is learning how to read right now, so I thought it would be fun. The Avalanche Fruit Stand, very, very similar to the Sneaky Snacky Squirrel game. I think it's just a little simpler. Cookie Shapes. This one will probably be good for Joe because it is slightly educational in that you're doing shapes, but it's also like you have to take turns. The Elephant's Trunk, also similar. It's a game about color and you have to take turns. Hape Stacking Veggies. It's kind of just a game of Jenga that you can either play where you take pieces off or you put pieces on, except the pieces are vegetables instead of rectangles, which I thought was really cool. Hoot Owl Hoot. It's won a bunch of rewards or something. I actually don't know anything about it, so if you have it, let me know. The Mini Muffin Sorting Game. I don't think that's a Joe thing. I think that's more of a James thing. The Pancake Relay Game by Learning Resources. Once again, I think that's a little bit more of a James thing. Hey, Ruff's Tactile House, which is, it's all these little bones that are like different and you have to reach in and feel what you want to pull out. I don't know if that's like something that Joe would be capable of right now. The Snail's Pace Race, a cooperative game where you roll a die and you just move a snail and everybody can pick snails to cheer on or cheer on all the snails. Suspend Junior by Melissa and Doug looks super, super fun, but I have no idea if it's kind of too old for the kids at this point. And Feed the Wazzle. I know nothing about it, but it was another game that I saw was like critically acclaimed. So yeah, if you have any advice on any of these games, if you own any of them or anything like that, feel free to give me that below, because I am going to definitely buy a couple of games for the kids for Christmas. If you'd like to kind of like pick through the things that the kids might be getting for Christmas, I will post a link to our Amazon wish list below. If you have any suggestions from that list of like toys that your kids really hate or toys that you really, really love, feel free to let me know. Or if you see something that's not on my wish list that's like, this would be amazing and your boys need it, also feel free, because I do kind of tend to look in the same places all the time for my kids. You know, a lot of other kids, they get ideas from commercials and things like that, and our kids don't watch TV, so I kind of make up everything that they get, and so I do find that our toys tend to be really similar. So yeah, so any advice would be really appreciated. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below. Have a good night.